Hello and welcome to Apostate Coalition, a collaboration channel bringing you news, entertainment, information, and education about high control religions. I am Rion.
And I am Jonathan. And this morning we brought our friend Justin with us to discuss the upcoming, what was it again? Demonstration in Washington, D.C. at the end of this month. So we're welcome, Justin. We're glad to have you. And let's see what you have
Yeah.
to say.
Hey,
Yeah,
thank
we're
you for having
really
me on.
excited. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you taking the time to kind of explain to us what to expect, what the demonstration is about, what we hope to achieve. And I would first love to start out by getting to know you a little bit, just in case people in our audience have not seen your beautiful face before. Um, would you mind telling us how long you were Jehovah's Witness and how long have you left the organization?
Yeah, so I came into the witnesses when I was about 11 years old, and I left when I was
Okay.
26. So about 15 years I was in. Um, and then I left. When I left, I was a ministerial servant. So I had just been appointed about 4 years before waking up, and I was on my way up. You know, they always say that those who leave didn't have the truth really in their hearts. You know, it wasn't really in their hearts. They didn't really
Right.
believe in it. No, 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 no. I was on my way up, but you know, you see things that make you say, "Do I really want to be involved in this?" And that's what happened for me. And so I left, and I've been out for about 5, 6 years now. Yeah, because it took me
Awesome.
a little while to actually get fully out because I was still working for a company that was owned by witnesses.
Oh, that'll get
So
you.
even when I stopped
Hmm.
going to meetings, I still had to pretend like I was a witness for a few years before I fully got out. Then I had to recover and heal and get out of that whole anger stage. And then now I'm out here actually, trying to help people. So
Yeah, this is really awesome to hear. But I think that part of raising the awareness is for people to understand just something simple that you said you had to kind of play a role and be careful for a certain period of time in your life because your finances are like tied to this organization. So you have to be mindful if you start to question if something is not sitting well with you and you want to make a separation, it's not just like you can't just walk away. There's strings attached.
yes.
Yes, definitely.
Wow. And so we're raising awareness. This is the goal for people to understand that it's okay to dissent from your religion. It's okay to ask questions. There shouldn't be anything harmful about that. You shouldn't be judged. If religion is truly a personal thing that's supposed to bring comfort to you, then if this religion is no longer comforting to you or sits well in your heart, why do you have to stay attached? Well, this is the kind of information people need to understand in the outside world looking in on what seems to be a very aesthetically kind and loving organization. But that might, and I'm not trying to say that these are bad people, but they're being taught things that make them exclude people or just pretend that they don't exist, which is it's really harmful and sad to see. Have you had any experiences with being shunned or being excluded, anything like that?
Oh yeah, yeah. So the way I
Mm,
left was I faded, which normally you you would think that you can kind of avoid the shunning, but I'm sorry to say, there's no real way to avoid it. As
Yeah.
soon as people start seeing the decline in you,
right.
they are going to, all those red flags are going to go up. They're going to start avoiding you. So that's what happened to me, and I can
Mm,
tell you, it's very heartbreaking when you've got people. Well, first of all, like I said in the beginning, I came in when I was 11, so I did have some friends outside. But of course, when you join the witnesses, what's the first thing that they tell you to do? Only associate with our people.
cut
Anybody else,
off.
bad association.
Right.
So even though some of the kids in the organization were doing worse things than the kids on the outside, but we're not going to talk about that. but
Mm-mm-mm. Can't
Now,
but
mention that.
what were you going to say?
I was just going to jump in and say, like myself, I was born in. So what was your experience coming in at 11 and having experience as a worldly person
Oh,
right
very
off?
Very confusing. Very confusing.
Mm.
For one thing, you're automatically seen as an outcast because it takes a while for you to learn all the things that the people that are born in already know are bad. So I come in. My mom used to read me the Harry Potter books before I go to bed and things like that. So
Oh,
you still,
wow.
as a kid, you're still gonna like those things. You're still gonna like those worlds.
Mhm.
But it takes you a second to learn that no, these things are unacceptable in this community. So you go in there and you see kids your age, and you're talking to them like other kids your age, and they're saying, no, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad. And so it's very confusing. You feel like a bad kid, even though you're not a bad kid. And yeah.
So they're like, Harry Potter, you shouldn't be watching those movies. You'd be like, well, you should try reading a book.
Yeah, the books are way better. But that is an interesting, like what you said is that you had to learn exactly what was unacceptable. And this is, to me, part of the very tenuous issues with the organization is when they're going to the door, they're presenting the best of the best. It's the smile, it's the kind words. At least as of yet, the message hasn't really turned to doom and gloom. I could talk about some text messages that we've recently come to surface that, witnesses are sending out. But generally speaking, at the door, they're going to present this really lovely picture. But it's not until you get involved that you realize there's all these expectations of how you're supposed to behave, what you're supposed to enjoy, who you're supposed to love. Like everything is fed to you. Like when they say spiritual food, they really mean like spiritual shoving down your throat, choke on this food. Sorry for the grim double fisting there. Yes, you put on the new personality. I think that's probably the more kind and eloquent way to say it. You have to put on this new personality.
Yeah.
And you also not only learning things that are bad, it's learning what to be afraid of. You think an 11-year-old kid at that age, you're not really afraid of the dark anymore. You're not, you're starting to lose some of your fears that you had, as a younger child. You come into this organization, now they're giving you all these new things to be afraid of. So,
oh God.
So Caleb, who likes magic? Satan. Does that make Jehovah happy or sad? Sad. Yeah, you want to play with this toy?
Like, my goodness, how horrible!
It's just a
horrible those. Yeah, it is really. It's just a toy. It's just a song. It's just a movie. It's just a book. And really, the Bible is just a book that you're taking far too literally. It's just a piece of formed history from a perspective of a certain group of people. That is really all it is. And there's many different perspectives that we can put in context of it. Similarly with other things, it's really just how you're taking it. Harry Potter isn't a book of morals. The Bible doesn't have to be a book of morals either. It can be that simple. It could just be entertain. How about entertainment's sake? For entertainment's sake, is that okay? That's not acceptable with the Jehovah's Witness organization. Well, do you want to jump into the rally, get to some of the questions that I have about it? Because I'm going to be going. I'm not sure if who all in the audience, if anybody in the audience is coming, but I will be there. And I'm really excited to meet. Like, if you see me, you better come up to me because I'm gonna be really upset if I hear people like, "Oh, I saw you, but I didn't want to." I will then be mad at you. We will not be friends.
You better talk to me.
That's right. So, can I just ask you this? I would love to know your personal opinion. What is your hope that will come from this rally? What do you think the potential could be with this demonstration, with raising awareness? What do you hope to garner from it?
That's a question that I see a lot. And,
I'm like, what are we doing? What's going to change? Hey, it's all hope. It's all hope,
And it's a good question, especially because when you're coming out of the witnesses, even when you've left, the watchtower is seen as this big thing that how is it going to be taken down?
You're right.
So what I'm thinking is going to happen. There's no way to really know. And sorry if I'm repeating myself for people that have
No,
heard
I
me say
repeat
this
myself
before.
all the time.
And
Trust
sorry
me.
in advance because I'm about to make a video and I'm going to say all this same stuff. So
Good. No, good.
It's
so
You
you're
know
great
going to
what?
hear me
Get
say
it
it
in our
again.
heads. That's okay.
But
Repetition. We're used to that.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
Repetition for emphasis. That's right.
That's just another day for us. Indoctrinate me, please, Justin.
So here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. Realistically speaking. So realistically, the more people we have, the more awareness, the more attention it's going to get. You got a crowd of people meeting in front of the White House. Okay.
Right.
We have the permits in place and everything. It's a legal protest, which means that Homeland Security is going to be right there. When you see this, you're going to see something that is organized and allowed to happen. The bigger the crowd, the more attention it's going to get. So naturally, you're going to have people walking by who are going to be able to hear the XJW message who otherwise may have never heard it. So that's at the lowest level. Okay, you're just going to have random passerbys getting to hear our message. You step up a level, again, you got a big crowd of people gathered from the White House. Who else's attention is that gonna get? The media.
That's what I hope.
So now our message is reaching even further to all the local news medias out there. And then you step up another level. Again, we're in front of the White House. This is on the 31st, which is a Tuesday. It's business as usual that day. Everybody's in office. So you've got lawmakers there,
right,
who can hear our message. And that's the really big one, because if they hear our message, now we can start to get things changed. So that's, speaking realistically, I think it's fair to say all of those are realistic expectations in some way or another. Particularly getting media coverage, I think is definitely very realistic expectation. So
awesome.
Speaking of media coverage, have you or has anybody alerted any particular media outlets or?
Yeah, that's already in the works. And then if there's anybody out there who lives in that area and contacts, please. This is a group effort. Okay. So go ahead and contact your people. The more people that we can get out there, the wider our message is going to get. And you never know who's hearing it. You never know how it's going to touch them. You never know who knows someone who knows someone. Mm-hmm. My dream has always been, you turn on Netflix, boom, the big Netflix logo pops up. And what's the top thing on there? A documentary about the Jehovah's Witnesses. That's what I want to see. We deserve that. We deserve that. And not only do we deserve it, the general public deserves it. They deserve to know who is knocking on their door. How many times have you went out in service and a young child opens the door?
Right.
By themselves.
Yep.
That's the kind of thing that when you learn about the fact that these people are hiding, CSA, known pedophiles,
these are
that
dangers.
Kind of should worry you a little bit. So
yeah, these are real and true dangers that are happening on a regular basis. We've seen the documentation of people who knew CSA were happening, and these people going door to door. So this isn't just a what if. This is we know it's happening. We know that these men get found out. We know that they will either transfer them or they'll either just shut down the person who is bringing forward the accusation by either disfellowshipping or shaming, because that's a huge part of it, is getting people to shut up through shame. Well, God's forgiven them. Why can't you? What is your problem that you can't you see that this person is sorry? Well, sorry doesn't count when this person now goes to someone's door. And like you said, a child may be opening that door, and that could open the door for that person to start a Bible study. Now this person is coming into your home. So I'm tired of the excuses that the Jehovah's Witnesses don't have access to people alone or outside of the congregation. That is a utter lie. That is incorrect. That is false. And people at the door should be aware that this can happen. I mean, and it's not just the Jehovah's Witness organization, but we know from experience, and because they do proselytize, they are knocking on doors. That is a huge difference from like the Catholic Church. Like what they're doing is horrific, but thank goodness they're not knocking on our doors and sending these priests. Like anyway, we won't get into that, but I think what you're saying is bringing awareness is the biggest thing. And if we can get, I'm going to, because I wasn't sure, I don't want to like step on anybody's toes. Like, has different media outlets been? So I will make a video and just say like, hey, if you know me, you're going to be in DC. If you are in any part of media and you would like to come interview some people, so I'll put that out there. I mean, you never know if we get a bite, and unless you ask, you won't find out. So, good morning.
And in further of what you were saying, Rion, I have heard that, you know, somebody that was found out would be, you know, they would never go to the door by themselves or anything like that. But all it takes is they could just be sitting there at your door and they look and they see your kid. It's not like, oh, I'm going to come back next time we have this call and do something bad. And it could happen at any time. So all it takes is that access. So it doesn't matter if they're alone or not.
And all you have to do is have a suit and tie and go to somebody's door with a Bible in your hand and say you're a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
They're not going to say, aren't you supposed to be here 2 by 2? They don't know that. So that person could come back at a later time. You know, I'm not trying to create scenarios and do the whataboutism. I'm just telling you that to say that there is no access is just a falsehood, and I want to shut that down.
Yeah. And to go on to add more to that, and again, sorry if I'm repeating myself, and sorry in advance because I'm going to repeat myself again on this point, but even aside from just ministry stuff, I'm talking real, just regular real life, right? You have two people, okay? Two people. Both people, unfortunately, commit this horrible act of abusing a child in this way, right? Except one of those people happens to be a Jehovah's Witness. Now, what happens, okay? You have the person who's not a Jehovah's Witness. They get reported to the authorities. They go to jail. When they get out of jail, what happens? They have to register as a sex offender. When you register as a sex offender, that means that you are blocked from being a teacher. You're blocked from working at a daycare. You can't go to community swimming pools. There's all these things that are put on you to make sure that you cannot be put in a way where you can easily have access to kids again, right?
Right.
The Jehovah's Witness, what happens to them? They get disfellowshipped, possibly get disfellowshipped. And that's about it. You know, so that person is still allowed to work as a teacher. They're still allowed to work in a daycare. They're still allowed to do all these things that give them access to kids. So,
wow.
You know, if the witnesses say we're going to keep an eye on them inside the congregation, okay, cool, that's cool.
Boy.
But I'm sorry, you're only at the Kingdom Hall twice a week and then maybe once per service. And other than that, you're out in your regular everyday life where they don't have power over you. So another example is if you are a parent, you're moving to a new neighborhood, you know, you can, and you have kids, you want to keep your kids safe, you can go on these databases and look to see if there's any offenders in the neighborhood that you're looking to move into, right?
Right.
If people are registered as a sex offender, they will appear on those lists. So now you know, I'm not going to buy that house. I don't want to live right next to somebody like that. But if they're a witness, they're never going to appear on that list. You have no idea who you're moving next to.
You really just gave me like I know that, but then you really just opened it up to their other life, which is their work life, or the other life that they live outside of the Jehovah's Witness organization that we'll never know because the authorities have not been alerted, because the people in the congregation think they're going to take some responsibility somehow, and they'll be able to watch over this person and make sure they're not doing anything harmful. Oh boy. And I just don't understand how that behavior can be swept under the rug. But if you were caught smoking or something like that, there's a possibility, like there is like no room for, wow. I'm sorry. That really just kind of shook me a little bit, because they really are scenarios that are likely happening, and we'll never even know,
Yeah.
sadly, because it will always just be hidden. Um,
Yes,
so these
and
are
my beautiful wife there, Wendy, has a good point that even if they get disfellowshipped, it could just be swept under the rug, because if it isn't widely known, there wasn't
yeah,
another witness. It's just a couple of people who know about it. They could, it's just not. There's not going to be an alert. You should watch out for this sex offender in the congregation. Nobody's going to know about it, so they're all in danger.
exactly. 100%. I am curious. So at the rally, is there any kind of format? Is anything happening? Are we just kind of standing there talking, or is there like a planned event? Not event, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, so Homeland Security has given us a set time slot. Let me look at where I have the invitation here. It's from 10 a.m.
There we
to
go.
3. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's easier. From 10 a.m.
I didn't forget.
to 3:47 p.m. is when we will be there. And during that time,
Okay.
I myself will be speaking. The person that's organizing the protest has selected some other people who will be speaking. We've got some things that we will be saying to help spread awareness. So it's definitely going to be an organized event. We got to make the most of this, because
Yeah.
this has never happened before. There's never
Um,
been an XJW protest at the White House, and the first one. So there will never again be a first one. So
right.
it's a big event.
Big.
We gotta do this right. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's really great. Because I wasn't sure if there would be people there like sharing their stories, like how
mhm.
everything would go. So that way, like as you said, we're making the most of the time there. I love that. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Who is the one who kind of dreamt this up?
She is PIMO right now. So this is this is why this shunning rule has
This is
got to go.
monumental.
Yeah,
Like I
you create something like this that's
right.
so massive, and you can't even fully be a part of it because you got to keep your head down.
Yes. So
That
would you mind just explain? I'm sure everybody in the audience knows, but would you mind explaining what PIMO is so anybody who happens upon this will understand how big of a deal that is?
Yeah, so PIMO stands for physically in, mentally out. So physically in means you may or may not be going to meetings still. Some people have faded, but they're still PIMO. But for the most part, means you're still going to meetings. The people in the organization still know you as a Jehovah's Witness. They still think that you're active, still think that you're in good standing,
Right.
but you're mentally out. So you know what this is. You know all the things that the
Yeah.
Watchtower is hiding. You no longer believe that this
Bad
is
stuff.
the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, great. And I know that we're kind of moved, but I really wanted to circle back to something you said just about, I think it was you who mentioned jail, but it might have just been Dr. Time Waster because she mentioned jail. But the Jehovah's Witnesses have made a big deal, specifically Robert Hendricks and a few others have made it a big deal to mention how the organization has like a jail program or prison program. I can't remember what they called it, but where they go to jails and prisons and they speak to the undesirables. Supposedly, like they go to where no other people want to go to witness to people. Can you tell me how like, I believe in reform. Like I think the jail system is completely messed up. I do believe that people deserve second chances or at least help to fix what they're, doing wrong to be just a better person. But can you tell me how you feel about the Jehovah's Witnesses having a program like this where they're going into jails and how these people who haven't had real reformation are now possibly being welcomed into the congregation unknowingly?
Yeah, that's you see this is another
That's
example where they want to give the impression, they want to give the appearance that they're doing all these good things, but they're not, crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's, so to speak. So, hey, it might be noble for them to go and speak to these people that other people aren't speaking to. But who of the Jehovah's Witnesses that you know is actually a qualified mental health professional, qualified in any sort of way to
Right.
help people once they get out of jail? Because I'm sorry, but the Bible teach book or whatever it is, study book that they're doing now, that is not going to help somebody who has been in jail for years. If you ever watched that show 60 Days In, you know that environment, that jail environment is not a cool place to be. So the fact that they think that they can go in there and give somebody a Bible study and fully change them when they've been fully ingrained in that environment for so long, not to mention the environment that they were in before, to get them into jail in the first place, that's just not realistic at all.
Right.
And it's opening up the congregation, because of course they're not going to tell the congregation this person was in jail. So that opens up the congregation to, all sorts of ways that they are putting themselves in harm's way. You don't know how reformed a person is. So,
right.
Yeah.
They're relying heavily on people who have no training, no skills, just the information given to them by the organization, be that books, be that online. And that is it's not helpful. It's not helpful. Like when you find out, when you're sitting down with a couple and the husband's beating the wife and you read something from Timothy, the wife should just be humble and be quiet. Like that is not helpful, but they consider that to be scriptural guidance. People who are in jail, even if they were wrongfully in jail, they've now been subjected to some probably pretty horrible things that they're going to need to recover for. And you can't even help them with that. Sure, maybe some scriptures can give people hope. I'm okay with that. But it is in no way a license for you to have access to that kind of deep personal information of people. And I'm really uncomfortable now as a Jehovah's Witness. I used to think like, oh, look how great. I even thought that was such a great thing. But now having the comprehension that I do, like, oh, no. This Bible, if anything, it's going to encourage people to be violent. Sorry, not sorry, but it's full of like wickedness. But, to some people that's considered moral, their guide's a little off.
And going to meetings is not really what they need. They need to go to therapy to get professional help.
Doing hours and hours of meetings.
Yeah, because just sitting there with some people for an hour and 45 minutes or whatever, staring at some boring guy on the stage and some boring videos, that's not going to help them get through what they've gone through or the issues that put them there in the first place.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because the Jehovah's Witnesses are probably one of the worst when it comes to mental health awareness. I mean, it is so bad. I would say, and it's probably not too much of a stretch to say, in probably every congregation, there's probably at least one person who you can just tell a little bit off, and they really need some help. They need some proper help, and praying more and going to service more and going to meetings more is not going to help them. And so now you're bringing in people who have probably even more, need even more mental health help, and you're bringing them into a system where there is a serious lack of mental health awareness. That's just a recipe for disaster.
And they tried to, I think they're attempting to make it seem as though they approve of getting help nowadays because they have a few things in their print. But when you listen to the way that they speak, you can tell that they expect you to find everything that you need from the Bible, and that it's not acceptable to be sad for too long. There always have some kind of illustration of somebody just, oh, and she said this, she read this scripture to me, and all of a sudden I realized like the world is great again and I'm no longer depressed. Like, oh, okay, that's not realistic. That's not happening. I I apologize to interrupt, but I think this is a good question. Is there an issue with the authorities not having access to confessions given to the elders where the offender has been turned into the cops? We do know that the Jehovah's Witnesses are refusing to turn over certain documents. They've been asked, and they just refuse to turn over information. Specifically, isn't the ARC? They were asking for information. It was hard to get from them.
Oh, yeah.
There's obviously the Pennsylvania investigation happening right now, and other different states are now taking an interest. And I think we're going to find a lot of cases and instances where this has happened, and I'm sure these elders are acting under the instructions that they are being given from somebody higher up. That is usually the case. They're not normally have working, thinking brains that can think for themselves. They're looking for guidance from the higher ups.
Yeah, it's all stonewalling and theocratic warfare.
Right.
Which, for those not familiar with that, is basically lying to try and make yourself look good. The organization, don't make them look bad. It's lying. That's all that is.
That's the simple answer. Exactly. So, okay. So how can people support the rally, even if they cannot be there? Because I know for some people, this is just, it's the middle of the week. They're not going to be able to make it. Or, they might be PIMO, and oh yeah, I'm just going to go to Washington D.C. and there just so happens to be not plausible. So how can people support if they are unable to attend?
So we will have live streams set up for people that aren't able to attend, and you can view it from there.
Yeah.
We'll have more details on that pretty soon as we get closer. You mentioned a good point for the PIMO people. Since this event is on the 31st, now let me just say this event has nothing to do with Halloween, nothing at all. Halloween is more of an evening thing. This we're going to be done at before 4 o'clock here. So, but since it is on that. Protect your identity. That way. So, did you hear what I was saying?
For just a second. Would you mind starting over? I apologize. I was I thought my smoking might have just frozen.
But yeah, since this for the PIMOs out there, since this event is on the 31st, even though it has nothing to do with Halloween. But since it is on the 31st, if you want to wear some disguise or some mask or a costume that is appropriate for the event. I mean, we're going to be talking about CSA and shunning, so you got to wear something that's appropriate for those serious type of topics. But if you want to wear something to protect yourself and your PIMO, this is the opportunity to do it, and that's part of the benefit of having it on the 31st. Because normally events like this, the people who are physically and mentally out, they are left out of these kind of things. I remember when I was PIMO and I wanted to have more of a part in activism, but you just can't, because you have to protect your identity. So, and this is a case where you can have a part, you can share in it, and still protect your privacy.
Well, now after the pandemic, I mean, it's socially acceptable to wear a mask anyway.
Yeah.
So at the very least, you don't have to get all intricate. You could just go on down to Walgreens and grab your mask and come down to the thing.
There you go.
Right, but that is a very good point. And even if you're not a PIMO, maybe you just don't want your there might be a reason why you want to be very cautious on how you move. So if you do come and somebody is wearing a mask all day, please don't be rude to people. There are reasons that people are wearing masks, and maybe just even for safety, just their health reasons, whatnot. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. That's really a good point, because you could even put something on your like a sign on your mask if you if you wanted to, which actually leads
some markers.
honestly, like seriously, I'm now like thinking ideas like how can I help? Like maybe I could even bring some, like make some masks since I sew and make, so now I've got like no time. But anyhow, that also leads me into signage.
Mhm.
Are there certain phrases that people are saying? Are we making our own signs, or can we purchase signs there? To
Uh,
sign everywhere, sign. Tell me about the signs, Justin.
so we, if you go on the website is befree2023.com. And under resources, I'm looking at the website right now. Under resources, if you go onto signage, so befree2023.com, go to resources and then signage. And on under that, there's many examples. You can just keep scrolling for a little while of things that you can put on a sign. Um, we
Here we
want to
go.
be, again, this is a big thing. You know, it's at the White House. It's got a chance of getting some media coverage. So we want to make sure that we represent in the right way. So
Yeah,
as much as
that's
possible,
important.
we want to stick to
Right.
this signage here. That way we don't have people
Okay.
coming in saying, you know, some craziness, because it's a very important. Another thing I should definitely mention: this event is not about bashing the Jehovah's Witness. It is just not. Okay.
Right.
I know there's some people out there that will love it for to be about that, but that's not what this is about. This is going above religion. We don't want to speak to
Mhm.
the Watchtower. We're here to speak to the general public and the media to let them know what's going on. The Watchtower
Right.
is not going to listen. We've spoken to them for many years. They don't listen. They're not
That's a
going to
good point.
budge. So we got to have our message clear for the people that are on the outside. Not to mention, when it comes to the CSA part of it, this event is again, it's going above religion, because the Jehovah's Witnesses are not the only ones doing this. So this is why this event is really for the love of humanity, because if we get these laws changed for the witnesses, it's changed for everybody. All these religious organizations and
Yes.
non-religious organizations that are hiding, you know, known pedophiles. So we got to get these laws changed for everyone. And usually, when the laws are changed, they stretch the, what's it called, the statute of limitations or whatever. So
Yes.
that way, things that happened maybe 20 years ago, you know, that were, you know, fell under that loophole of non-mandatory reporting. Now those things can come into light. Now people who haven't gotten their justice can get their justice, both within the
Right.
witnesses and in other organizations. So this is why it's even a bigger event. There's more than
Right.
just one religion.
Um, but this, if you don't mind, I'd like to just kind of veer for 1 second because you brought up about the statute of limitations. And I don't know if you all saw recently that in Maryland, they got rid of the statute of limitations. And so, guess what the Archdiocese of Baltimore did? Claim bankruptcy because they wanted to stop the barrage of lawsuits that are going to come in and make them now go through the bankruptcy court. So that makes me really, really sad. So be prepared for something like that could, possibly happen. But it doesn't matter because if that means that these towers have to fall by, again, appealing to the legal system, that is going to be our best way. We need to call our, people in charge of our local government, state, and those higher up, because they're the ones who are going to be able to remove these statutes. They're the ones who are going to be able to get rid of the clergy privilege. Pennsylvania is still plagued with the clergy privilege. I'm hoping that we can get that changed, but there's many other states that still have protections for abusers, simply by saying, oh, we're part of the clergy and that is a confidentiality issue. I can't tell you that this man just confessed that he abused 12 people in my congregation. The Catholic Church, in the Archdiocese of Baltimore, there were over 600 children who were assaulted by a 150 something men. So one man has the ability, excuse me, I apologize. One abuser has the ability, because that could be, anybody could do that, has the ability to reach a lot of people in the community, not just Jehovah's Witnesses. So I know I get very adamant about that, but your voice does matter. And I really do hope that having the right signage, being able to speak, speak the truth about what's happening. We want to present a very I do not police how people express themselves when it comes to, but I do feel that this is very important. And I was like, am I supposed to dress up? I was like that kind of, I was a little like not sure about what was, but now I really understand this is just about protecting people who are still vulnerable. And they're vulnerable. Why? Because this organization. I don't want to beat up on Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't want to beat up on anybody because we are all victims of this organization, whether you're in or you're out. We've all been harmed. So we want to raise awareness, and maybe we really can make these changes just by simply showing our faces, just being right there in the middle of it in Washington, D.C. And actually, sorry, I'm like rambling, but I want to make sure I get all my questions. So you mentioned before that security would be there, correct?
Yeah, Homeland Security. Yeah.
Homeland Security. And I just wanted to put that out there because there are people who might be afraid because of, again, the inundation that we've been given because of this organization. I just want people to know that they're going to be safe there.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is a peaceful protest. Peaceful,
right?
Yes. Peaceful and respectful and professional. Again, we're covering very important issues there. Mm-hmm. So nobody should be acting up. We were all Jehovah's Witnesses. We know how to act in public, So
wait, are you sure? Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. But it really is important that there will be. Yeah. I'm hoping that there will be media there, and we'll find ourselves on local personality. News. God damn. How many personnel? I already have like 20, Jonathan. I'm not sure how many personalities I can fit up here. It's going to be a problem. Oh, yeah. And see, this is right. Because we just had a whole thing several, months ago. For a long time, these things have been hashing out the back and forth with the government people not supporting. I truly do not get it, but I will tell you that a huge portion of it is these organized Catholics and behind the scenes Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons. They are all the ones who are stopping. They're the ones tying our hands. Yes. And it's so infuriating because the majority of people actually want these protections. They're losing faith in the church because the church is not protecting us from these issues.
Yeah. And
I really just don't know what to say about it. It's very disheartening.
Well, that's the whole point, is to say something. That's why we're doing this. It's just to say something. If we can get mandatory reporting, a law in every single state, that's our goal, And again, we gotta, if we gotta battle the government on it, then that's what we gotta do. But just being out there, spreading that awareness is going to reach people who know people who know people who know people, especially if we get media coverage. So the more pressure you put on them, the more likely it is that they're going to say, okay, let's just change it. Because there's no reason not to change it. It's you can't have people who are unqualified handling these kind of cases. It needs to be reported to the police. That's just it. So, and
how can you tout that you want to protect children? And we say to you, okay, here you go. Here is a known way that you can protect children. Stop protecting people who harm them. Like when you know they've harmed them, why are you protecting them? And I could imagine that if people were truly aware, if the news would truly cover, because sometimes I just don't think they enjoy these types of issues, because I think it hurts their people turn the channel, they don't want to see it, or maybe they're just unaware. But if we can get this in front of the everyday person, like, wait, my church is why would my and I keep telling people, go talk to your pastor. I'm happy for you if you're Christian. I want you to have your religion. I want to protect you. You should be able to have your religion. You just shouldn't be able to infringe on my rights. I have no problem with that. But you should be asking your higher ups, your elders, your pastors, why is this? Get a real answer. You have to be the one to start pushing this dialogue inside of the organization that you're in if you really want to make a change. And I do feel like slowly but surely that progression will make moves happen. I mean, I'm seeing more progressive churches pop up, and I think that's like super cool. But if you are just complacent and complicit and don't speak up, you're aiding and embedding this behavior. So even if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you believe through and through and through that this is Jehovah's organization, I will hold your hand through that. But you should have the right to display their books open, display their organization open, just like they will do to you. You should have that right as a human being. That should be your human right to know that the organization that you're practicing in cares about you and is protecting you as they say they are. I apologize. I do a lot of ranting, but I'm passionate.
No.
I'm very passionate about this subject, if you can't tell.
Me too.
Yeah. I have a few more questions. Is there anything that you want to say that you feel like I haven't asked you in as regards like to the demonstration?
Yeah, I'll just say in regards to the mandatory reporting, there is some states that do have that, and so we really just want it for every single state nationwide. And here's the reason: if you go look into some of these legal cases that have happened, you know, the Watchtower loves to say that this is an apostate lie, that they are not hiding pedophiles. The legal cases are right there. It's right on Google. You just have to Google it up and you will find it. And in some cases where there's mandatory reporting, you know, the people go and they sue the Watchtower because the Watchtower didn't notify the authorities, and they win and they get their justice. And that justice may not heal the person from the abuse that they went through, but at least they get something. You know, there's
Right.
some close, you know, some closure there. On the other hand, in the states where there's not mandatory reporting, they go and they sue the Watchtower. And just the process of suing the Watchtower means that they are shunned. You get this, you go against the
Right.
Watchtower, you're disfellowshipped. That's it. So you already have to go through that on top of the abuse that you went through. All you're doing is just seeking justice. That's it. And you get shunned for it. And then they go to sue the Watchtower. They win, but then the case gets, the Watchtower countersues them, and the Watchtower wins because in that state, there's no mandatory reporting. So as much as the Watchtower talks about how we don't hide pedophiles, well, guess what? There's legal proof that they are spending your donation money to do legal battles, to do reverse cases in order to
Yeah.
hide pedophiles. So this loophole has to be closed. And again, this is more than just the witnesses. There's many religious
Right.
organizations out there and non-religious organizations out there that don't do mandatory reporting. So it's got to be legal in every single state. That way, if people sue, they can win.
Exactly. And what I would love to see, I mean, I would like to see more programs. I feel as though if you, as a 501c3, it's what they are, correct? If you are receiving funds from the government because you're doing social programs for the community, that's their claim, right? You should have to set up a program for people who have been harmed so they can get the help that they need, therapies, even maybe even they need health issues to be taken care of because of maybe something that happened. You know, there's a world of things that can happen to you after being abused. I do not understand how they aren't made to have these programs when, again, I guess because that would be an acceptance of, yes, we have an issue where we even need to have. But if you have insurance, like these churches have insurance for pedophilia, things of that nature. If you have insurance and you're okay with that, then, well, I think it's because most people don't realize that the churches have insurance. why wouldn't you set up a insurance program of sorts to help those in need? I would love
Yeah.
to see something like that happen.
They're willing to spend money on insurance to protect themselves, but not to protect the people who need it.
Exactly. That doesn't show that you care about your little tiny flock that you're supposed to be the shepherd of. If you're a shepherd of a flock, you would treat them like family. And if my child needed help, I would get my child help. Anyway, neither here nor there anymore. Anything else? I do feel like there was something else. I apologize, y'all, as I'm scrolling through my questions. Do you feel that there's any way that the public can help us raise awareness or even maybe influence the Jehovah's Witnesses or the government to help substantiate these changes that we're discussing?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the Jehovah's Witnesses there's only a little over 8 million of them. So what is that? Point
Right.
0.01
It
or
sounds like a
0.1%
lot.
of the world's population?
Right.
Yeah, it's not that many people. So
Mm-mm.
then you take that and then it's even smaller group of people that actually wake up and leave. So the
They're just
XJW
little
community,
babies.
yeah, we're a small community. So yeah, we do need the public's help for sure. And that's
We do.
another reason that we're doing this, is to get our message out to the public. We're not speaking to each other. We're not speaking to the watchtower. We're trying to get this out to the public, out to the media, and out to the lawmakers. So the public that hears this, yeah, same. It's just about talking to the people that getting this information out there, spreading awareness. And again, my dream is we reach the right people who have some serious power, some serious money, who know
Right.
the right people, and we can start putting some serious pressure on the watchtower in the way of documentaries on things like on Netflix or Hulu or whatever, where people who aren't looking for this type of thing can see it right in front of their face. This is what's going on. So.
Yes. Yeah, like the Shiny Happy People documentary, Hillsong. I mean, documentaries are really big right now into these cult-like organizations. And it isn't just Jehovah's Witnesses. The general public, I think they're unaware, because I was absolutely unaware of how insidious they can be. They welcome you in, they have specific ways if you're not familiar with the bite model and things like that, but they have a cult 101 book that they follow. And if you aren't recognizing it, once you get that love bomb, especially when you're lacking something in your life and you get that love bomb, you're hooked. You're immediately hooked on. And I think sometimes people feel like, I would never fall for a cult. Yeah, you might. Yeah, you possibly would, which is why a lot of people have, which is why the Jehovah's Witnesses look in obituaries, which is why Jehovah's Witnesses seek out people who are vulnerable, because they know that is when people are looking for love. They're looking for someone to pull them in, and hook, line, and sinker, people fall for it. So if we can get this to the general public, we can maybe stop other innocent people from falling entrapment to not just the Jehovah's Witnesses, but maybe MLM, who's pulling the same damn shenanigans, right? I mean, this is just about raising awareness and education all around about cult.
Yeah. And not to mention the general public, more so than people leaving the witnesses, because we were taught to not have anything to do with government or local government. So whereas the general public, they may have had opportunities to learn more about that stuff and learn how to be involved in it. So if we reach the general public, then we got chances of reaching people who know how to contact their Congress members and their senators and things of that nature. And again, we got to keep putting pressure on these guys so we can get something changed.
And I've called before, and I get nervous when I just talk to anybody. And they were at least the people I spoke to were very receptive. They were happy to hear from me. Like, they were actually thanking me for giving my opinion. So that's their damn job. Their job is to get the opinion of the general public. And we can easily remove that support if they aren't if they aren't doing the things that they promised that they would do, and generally it's something about protection, well, then protect us. We're telling you how
Yes.
you can protect us. Stop allowing the money to stop that from happening. Oh, what? Oh, that's what I wanted to. That's what I wanted to
Oh,
ask. Money is just in case people they can't attend. Maybe they can't share because they got people clocking them. Can they donate? Is there a way to donate to? I don't know what they would be donating to, but they might want to donate if there's a means for something.
Yeah, on the Be Free 2023 website under contact, there's a Buy Me Coffee link there where you can donate. The reason for donating would be mainly for like equipment costs, things like that. We have to get a sound system and stuff so people can actually hear us as we're speaking. Things like that. So
That's all. So we got a sound system and everything.
oh yeah.
Ooh,
Oh yeah.
I'm so excited. This is awesome.
Again,
I'm
this is
so
at the White
proud.
House. This is a big event, so we got to do it the right
Right.
way. So
I'm really, really proud. Like I have to say, watching, no offense, J Dubs, but watching the Mormons, you can tell that they have so much more education than us. Please, please, please don't hate me. Please, please, please. Because I love you all. But it shows. It shows in how they move. It shows in how they've organized. I can just tell that for them, education has helped them in this world. And I'm just really proud to kind of see that now the J-Dubs are getting it together and I apologize. That's kind of mean because there's been people protesting for years and years and years. So that's not poo-pooing anybody, but thankfully we've got the world of internet. So it's about damn time that we start
okay.
as Lizzo said, that we start organizing like this. And I would love to see this yearly. This would be amazing.
I think it's an important part just to kind of talk about it again is that, we're apostate, so that's all lies and stuff. But you get it to the
Yeah.
general public and you get more people found out, more people arrested who have committed crimes. There's more news reports coming from the world. There's laws passed, that sort of thing. And it's just a snowballing effect that it's like, they may say apostates are liars, but there's all these other things to prove. No, it is the truth.
Yeah, you're right. Getting the public involved to have conversations. And please, again, like we don't want to attack people. That won't get to people's hearts, but having actual concern, asking questions, getting people to critically think, I really think that's the best way to approach people. And if you don't feel comfortable asking JW, please don't. Like, I don't want you to do anything you're not comfortable or ready to do. But if you feel comfortable asking, some questions to get them thinking, you never know. You could be the one that makes them find the information that makes them question. It might not come from your mouth, but maybe in their quest to answer your question, it might make them stumble across something that could trigger we really just don't know. But being mean and saying, "Oh, you're hiding the pedophiles," they're just gonna go, "Oop, apostate, signed off, logging out."
Yeah, it's not really productive to be nasty about things.
Yeah.
Or, throwing false accusations or anything like that and just being mean about it. Because it's just gonna play into that we are oppressed, we are persecuted mentality. And it's just gonna go nowhere.
Yeah. I'm not saying that I make like all my videos are pretty when it comes to the information. I could be a hated face amongst the JWs. I really I have no idea.
All my
So I'm
videos are
not
pretty. I'm kidding.
so I'm not telling anybody like how to like put your videos and things like that. But if you really want to have a heart to heart, like let me just say, my videos are for y'all. My videos really aren't for JWs. Doesn't matter what I say. They're never going to like what I say. I can't make my content for them because quite frankly, they have, just like a drug addict, they have to be the ones who want to change. Right. So my content is not for them. If they hate me, sorry, don't know what to tell you. But in the instance you want to reach their heart, please just be genuine, be a friend, because they probably are afraid to have some of these conversations. They've been told that everybody hates them. So, they're ready for the persecution. They're just, oh, lay it on me. They got that complex. So it takes a lot of patience. So just be mindful. But you just don't know who you can reach. And you should be having these conversations with not just JWs, with anybody, because again, if you are involved with a church, it's likely that they could be doing something behind the scenes that is stopping the laws from changing, Well, we've hit an hour mark. I didn't even tell you how long we would be, Justin. I apologize.
Oh,
But
no problem.
usually we aim for somewhere around an hour. Is there anything that I am missing? Is there anything that you wanted to bring forward? I want to make sure that we get as much out there as we can for people. Is everybody just meeting there at 10? You'll know where to go. It'll be kind of obvious. Is that yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We'll have a big banner up, and if you see a crowd of people in front of the White House, that's probably us.
That's them. Okay.
But yeah, the more people, the merrier, really. Again, if you're asking how many people, what can this actually do? What is the end goal of this? The more people we have, the more we can reach those goals.
You can't ignore it.
A group of 20 people can be ignored. A group of 20 people can be ignored. A group of a couple hundred people, that's going to draw more attention. A group of 1,000 people, there's no way you're going to pass by that and not wonder what's going on. So the more people we have, the more support we get, the more chance
got one of those sound cars that they used to have, just slap an apostate symbol on it, and there you go. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Brother.
This is the way my brain works. I apologize.
We forgive you, Jonathan. It's okay. I'm very excited. Again, I can't wait to meet you, Justin. If anybody in the audience is going to be there, whether you're watching it now or you're going to watch it on the replay, please come up and introduce yourself. And I apologize if I don't recognize a face. Sometimes a profile picture is different. It's just different. So just please introduce yourself. Even if I've talked to you 20 times, I'll probably forget a name. That's just how my brain works. But I really do want to meet like-minded people who want to make a difference in this world. Not saying other people don't want to, but who really are wanting to do the work, do the distance. I'm down for it, and I want to support you, and I want to meet you so we can be friends. I think that is all I have, y'all. If you want to go check out the Be Free website, it is befree2023.com. You can find more information there. Information's on the signs that you can have, etc. is all there. If you want to send some money to help support the infrastructure for the demonstration, you can go to the contact link and send money right there to buy me a coffee. Any support, I'm sure, is much appreciated. Again, liking this, commenting, sharing it to Twitter, or even just clicking copy. Like if you're just copying the link, the app thinks you're sharing it. They have no idea. So that is going to push that out to the forefront to get this in front of more people. And I'm sure you're going to be making more videos. So please, Justin's channel, EX JW Diaries, is in the description. Make sure if you're not following them, you go follow and then share their subsequent videos about the demonstration. Is anybody else making videos that you know of that we could also boost?
I know Wally's channel. He's made some videos. JW
That's
Thoughts.
right, Wally, of course.
I did an interview on Critical Thoughts channel. I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a lot of people are making stuff about it. Yeah, so it's a big event. So
yeah, so please, if you see it, boost it. it does help. It will get it in front of other people than just JDubs, because I think that's going to be our bigger audience. Remember, we are a little baby group. We're tiny. We think we're big, but we're not really. We're not that big. So the general audience can also kind of help us through this and get the changes that we want made. On that note, y'all, I love you, Justin. Thank you so much for being here. It was great to meet you. I can't wait to see you in person. Jonathan, always good to see you, my buddy. Thanks for being here with us. Yeah, we will see you all next time. Thank you.
And if you haven't subscribed to Justin's channel, please do so.
Yes, make sure you do all the buttons everywhere. Just push them, push random buttons, I guess, maybe. Yes, and this is exactly, we want to raise awareness about the harmful tactics inside the Jehovah's Witness organization. And I'm hoping that that can be done the more that we speak up and speak out and just show them that we're just normal, everyday people who we care, and we just want to live our lives, and we want people to live their best lives too. That's all. All right, y'all. Love you. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye for now.